Right now, Good Day New York, from the most powerful name in local news, Fox 5 News.
All right, Mike, thank you. This morning, a closer look at women at work and the roles they play. Are you the queen of your office, ruling at arm's length over others?
Or are you the joker? Oh, or the submissive schoolgirl, even at your own expense. Becoming the mistress of your own domain means knowing which role to play, so says Lisa Robyn, who's, I'm told, a governess. She has the new book out called The Corporate Dominatrix. Thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
So these profiles aren't all bad or all good. It's just that if you work with one of these people, you just have to know how to deal with them, right?
Right. I mean, the roles are on a continuum. I talk about three distinct types of dominance. There's highly dominant women, there are moderately dominant women, and there are what I call imperceptibly dominant women, or somewhat submissive to authority.
And many of them have their positives, and they also have their negatives. And we're going to start with the queen, which I'm guessing is the most dominant of all of them?
Well, the queen is a very dominant type, yes.
And how would you characterize that role?
The queen is an empire builder. She rules with a velvet glove, not an iron fist. And she uses her position power, her status, to get ahead. And an example would be if you want to consolidate departments or you want to build your domain, that would be very much in line with the queen.
All right, what about the Amazon? What does she do?
The Amazon is the combatant. She's the warrior. Think Xena, warrior princess. And she uses coercive power. She uses force when necessary. She only goes to war when diplomacy fails. And an example would be if you're going up against a competitor, you would call on the Amazon.
What's the pitfall, though, of being the Amazon? What's the downside?
Being too combative, being unnecessarily aggressive and antagonistic. Yes, I mean, if you're angry, you should not call on that role.
What about the goddess?
The goddess. The goddess is the high priestess. She's very Zen-like, extremely centered. She uses personal power, which is her character. And a good example would be if someone's trying to get a rise out of you, you would sort of call on the goddess and be very centered.
So I'm wondering, people in the workplace call on the goddess for sort of advice on how to handle the day-to-day operations in a more sort of esoteric way? I mean,
well, if there's chaos
available?
going on, you call on the goddess so that you could make sense out of the chaos.
But you have to be connected with what really is going on in the workplace, I would think. And is that a problem?
Well, I think you need to say, well, it could be potentially if you're a little too new agey and you're not grounded in reality. You can only be so sort of woo-woo.
Right.
You don't want to be overly new agey.
The crystals won't save you from losing your job if you've screwed up the account.
That's right. No matter how feng shui your office is.
If you have a pyramid-shaped conference room, then you're in luck.
That's right.
Okay,
it's only going to go so far.
The schoolgirl, what is she like?
The schoolgirl. The schoolgirl is the apprentice. She's the student. She disarms with charm. She uses borrowed power. And an example of the schoolgirl would be if you're working for someone who's somewhat threatened by you, you would call on the schoolgirl to kind of take it down a notch.
We were talking about some sort of pop culture references, and one of them was Devil Wears Prada, Meryl Streep's character, the editor of the magazine, and she illustrates a combination of some of these.
Absolutely. She would be an Amazon queen.
So she rules, but she's also aggressive.
Right. I talk about defining roles, which is how you would naturally define yourself, whether you're more comfortable with being a queen or a governess or a goddess. And then there are secondary roles. So you could actually be a combination of two roles. But what you want to do, most importantly, is customize the role to the particular situation at hand.
Interesting. Lisa Robyn, the author of The Corporate Dominatrix, thank you for joining us this morning. And as always, you can find out more information about Lisa's book by going to myfoxny.com and clicking on the Good Day tab.